Today we're excited to announce our investment and partnership in Upwind's Series B. Upwind is a cloud security company that we've known for a long time, and I'm glad to be joined at our CEO Summit by Amiram Shachar, the CEO and co-founder of Upwind. You're a second-time founder. You've built a business before called Spot and sold that business successfully and started Upwind. What was kind of like the spark for you to like start a new business and start Upwind?
So first of all, it's great to be here. Thank you for this beautiful event, and it's amazing to be part of this small group of CEOs that Salesforce is backing. So it's truly exciting for us. And what I saw, like starting Spot and then starting Upwind, it's actually all starts with like a big need. Like you see a problem and you want to tackle the problem like really well. So for example, at Spot, I was really all about saving money in the cloud. That was a big problem my company was facing, like when I was head of DevOps, and I wanted to solve it. And then when we got acquired by NetApp, it was actually a fun story to tell. Like we're being acquired by a 20,000 people organization, and then we are a startup, and we never had a CISO, we never had a security team. We're just building software and moving fast. And then NetApp scans our cloud infrastructure, and they're shocked by how many findings and issues or security issues they find there. And then us as like engineers, as DevOps engineers, we're looking at the findings coming from the security tool. And we went through the list, and we were able to explain everything in our own DevOps language. Why we did this and why we did that, and like why this risk is not that risky as like the platform is saying. And we saw like the huge friction that is out there in the market between the security findings and the actual people who are receiving the findings. And we actually wanted to solve that problem like with NetApp, and we actually were able to do it with a security team. And a few years later, it was really like burning inside of us to do something again together as a team, because it's all about building. And we looked at this problem and said, there's a lot of security companies out there. All of them are built by security folks, and they're in a security mindset. And we actually have the opportunity to build a security company, but with the DevOps mindset, with the platform engineering mindset. And that was the beginning of Upwind.
That was the spark. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and it's been a good 3 years now, right? Like you're growing very, very fast. I think you often describe it as like, hey, we're in an uphill battle because you're winning and trying to compete with some like formidable competitors. Any key learnings you can share about your journey at Upwind so far, that where you're like, hey, if I were to start from scratch today, right? What would I change? And that can be like across any area. Could be product, could be on like people, talent, etc. And maybe also relevant given we're now like in an AI age of like, hey, how does that change like starting a business?
Yeah, I think if I replay the Upwind movie, like 3 years like backwards, like the biggest learning is in a world of AI that it's much easier to write lines of codes.
Yeah.
It's becoming actually like in order of magnitude more harder to provide customer value, because more people can write software, so you have more competitors in every category. So like now, like add real value and build a real business is becoming much harder. Yeah. In order to do that well, what we found is you need to like be very close to customers from the very beginning, and the calls with the customers. You don't have to go through like a very good call in order for this to be a good call. Right. So like our first like 100 or 200 calls like are not customers who bought from us. Right. We just learned. And what we learned is that how customers thinking about buying cloud security. Right. So for example, for every company that usually starts their business, they want to take something very narrow and solve a very specific problem, and then by solving this specific problem, like expand. Right. But what we saw in cloud security that is really changing, that customers are taking all these, that what used to be point solutions, CSPM, vulnerability management, container security, API security, identity security, all these things that used to be different products, they want to buy it together. Yeah. And then we realized we need to build something very, very wide. And it's actually like, a few early board members at Upwind told us, hey, don't do that. Like, it's actually very risky. Right. But we said like, we're staying very close to the customers. This is how they want to buy it.
Yeah.
If we're not going to do that, we're going to be at risk of like being too small, like, and being wiped out by bigger companies. So that's why it actually really like set us in like a specific direction of like we need to build a much bigger company than we thought, and we were up to for the challenge. And that's, I think, like if I replay back the movie, that's the biggest learning, and I'm really incredibly happy that we actually followed our, you know, our gut feeling of like listening to the customers, even though it's like very, very blurry lines.
Yeah, it's not obvious when you start out, right? I think that's why you need to have the like conviction in terms of like what you're building, and then get it validated by the market, by the customers, essentially. I think for us, you know, part of the reason for investing in Upwind is you know, wanting to basically catch the next wave, right? Pun intended, in cloud security, where the opportunity is so big because everyone is running cloud infra, and obviously now AI infrastructure as well. And it's not a fully solved problem. There are new issues popping up, and part of the reason why we thought, you know, Upwind is really the right bet is on the runtime side, where you know that both DevOps teams and security teams are looking for guidance, not just visibility, and want to be able to move fast. And so the runtime piece that you're focused on really makes it like actionable for them, right? And so the ROI is huge, and you know it's a really big reason for us, you know, in terms of our investment thesis.
And look, I think what we have done with runtime is something pretty interesting, because for many years, I think for a decade, people use runtime for a very specific use case. They use runtime for a use case in security for detection and response, like how SOC teams needs to chase like real-time threats. And this is great, but I think this is not the big news of what runtime can do for you. Like the big news of runtime can do for you, it can fundamentally change the entire security stack for you. We think like if you inject runtime to CSPM, your CSPM gets much better. If you inject runtime into vulnerability management, your vulnerability management becomes much better. If you inject runtime to data security, your data security becomes much better. So we took that runtime approach, that DevOps mentality, that's like infrastructure mentality, and we just brought it together to the security stack. And I think like that's the biggest news, and now like this is also the future use cases. Like AI security is being done with runtime, and application security is being done with runtime. So everything is just marching towards that.
It goes back to your point about being a platform, right? Like, you know, want to go broad and like deep in order to really be able to like serve security teams and developer teams well. So that's great to hear. You recently closed the round, and we're again grateful to be partnering with you. What was kind of like the reason for raising another round, and what were you looking for in terms of like new investors to bring on board?
So I'm actually terrible at raising money.
I think you've been doing fine, actually.
But I think like it's you're looking at the company and like, you know, different stages, and Upwind was, even before that round, a like very well capitalized company. Like we had like a very good balance sheet, almost $200 million. We just raised $100 million just a year ago. We had everything we needed for go to market. But I think like as we progressed and like as we brought customers like Waste Management and Carvana and Nubank and winning those, like you just realize how big the opportunity is. And you're growing from like very like low single digits of ARR to like, you know, tens of millions of ARR very, very quickly. You want to seize the opportunity. You want to go faster. And I saw that like every time like in our journey that we've added new investors, it's just like really brought up the company to the next stage. And then you run the process, and then you talk like to like really smart people like from the investment side. So it's great to know like get some more external validations, and in these days like customers actually really appreciate these external validation. And I think for us to go and compete with the biggest companies in the world, like you know, we're competing with companies who like who their combined market cap is $500 billion, and we're just at the beginning. So we wanted stronger balance sheet and like additional hundreds of millions of dollars that we can invest into the product. And I couldn't be more excited, to be
Yeah.
honest, like
Yeah.
to be in this position.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are a lot of components that kind of like are in place now, are built, right? Like product, go to market. So it's really like an execution place. So adding more fuel to the fire is basically how we thought about it, right? Made a lot of sense. So as you look ahead, the next 12 months, we're sort of at the start of the fiscal year. What is really like your number one priority, like top of mind for you post fundraising?
So as you said, like we're in execution mode. Like we know what we need to do,
Yeah.
and we're in execution mode. And execution mode across the board.
Yeah.
Like how we build our go-to-market team, how we build our product, how we scale our engineering. Like there is a lot of. If you ask me what keeps me awake at night, there's many things, not
Yeah.
one thing. But where I'm mostly focused is how we continue to invest in the core while expanding in the same, because in cloud, in cybersecurity in general, if you think about it, it's not every day that a platform is being made, it's like being formed. Like we've seen it with like EDR, that like all like the antivirus like features became EDR.
Yeah.
CrowdStrike did a really good job over there. And I think the same thing happening again, like, the history is repeating itself. Like cloud security is experiencing the same thing from like point solution. CNAPP is becoming the new EDR of cloud security. And I'm very focused on how we keep investing in the fundamentals, like in vulnerability management. It's not a solved problem.
Yeah.
CSPM is not a solved problem. Like, these things are not solved problems, so keep investing there. But still have this like layer of context that attaching everything together, because when you combine container security and API security and vulnerability management together, the context that they reinforce each other makes the whole like 1 + 1 = 10. So I want to find more opportunities that the product will add additional context. So we're looking at areas like attack surface management that we can look from like inside out context of an outside in like attacks. So the product growth is going to be really exciting right now.
Yeah, for sure. You're working with great partners, right? We're just getting into this, but you have great investors on the cap table. You have a great board. We'd love to hear a bit more about like what was the reason for deciding to bring on Salesforce Ventures as an additional investor in the round, and again, like what you were looking for, what you saw in terms of the opportunity of working with us.
Yeah, so as you said, like we have Upwind has a great board, great list of investors, and a big partnership also with AWS.
Right.
Like Upwind was recently selected as the preferred CNAPP partner inside the AWS console, which is great news. And I think reflecting on our process, I think you guys know the space really well. Like you and Kartik, like every conversation was, I think beyond like just because I think I'm terrible at raising money. I think it was very good product discussions.
Yeah.
And I realized like you get it, like you get the market. Salesforce like really understands where things are going, and we're actually quite excited that you guys are seeing us as like someone who can build the next wave of cloud security. So it was a very easy decision for us, like working with a team who knows that space really well and can support us moving forward.
Right.
Because building a company is really hard. It's already very, very hard. And like you want to add investors, that's gonna make it easier, like on the journey. And I definitely feel like we've taken the right decision.
Yeah, no, we're gonna build some really cool things, and we'll create some magic. You've now founded like several companies, right? And as you say, being a founder is not easy. Building a company is not easy. So, is there any advice that you can share, as a founder, to other founders or founders that are yet to figure out what they want to build or if they want to build, right? What is the best piece of advice you can provide to them?
I got a really good piece of advice when I was just starting my first company, because when you run a company, so 80% of your day is bad.
Yeah.
Like there's just 20% is like, things are going well, but like most of the day things are not going well.
Yeah.
And as people, like we don't like experiencing failures. Like we actually thrive from experiencing success, and it's like actually motivating us. But it's counterintuitive. It's actually contradicting itself, because when you run a company, most of your day is like dealing with bad things.
Yeah.
So I think for everyone who wants to build, you should know and get ready that 80% of your day is going to be bad, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Right.
So that's my first advice that I got when I started building Spot. Is like, just get ready. 80% of your day, it's like, it's a mania depression, like kind of like a journey, and it's like 80% of it's going to be depression.
Yeah.
And it's actually true. And every day, like, you deal with so many problems, and you just need to like be like locked in and solve it.
Yeah.
And I just heard like, Elon Musk talking about it. It's like when you start a business, when you run a company, it's like you need to treat it like eating glass and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So that's the best advice I can
Right.
give to people.
Yeah, yeah, the resilience point, and I think that's actually been showing quite a bit as I've worked with you now for the past sort of couple of months, but also knowing like how you were building Spot at the time. So amazing advice. Happy for you to like ask any questions in terms of insights that I can share, or I don't know if it's advice, but we'll see.
Yeah, so I would love to ask you actually.
Yeah.
You know the space really well. You've seen us. You've seen like our competitors. You've seen other people that are trying to get into these areas.
Yeah.
And like, let's face it, like many startups actually failed, like in the same area we're operating. What made you believe or think that Upwind can be different in this?
Can be the next platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, we've been spending a lot of time, several years in this space, and we've done a lot of different investments in the security space. Cloud security is probably the largest market opportunity we've uncovered, right? And yes, there are a lot of amazing companies that either have been created or are part of like, the bigger platforms, right? Public companies. But when you talk to a lot of CISOs, a lot of customers, it's like there is always more innovation to be had. And like, if you look back, say 5 years ago, no one had any like visibility into like what was actually happening in cloud.
True.
Now, fast forward 5 years, the here and now, you have the visibility, but you need the actionability. And one of the things that we saw in application security is like people drowning in alerts. You're seeing some of that happening in cloud security as well. And this is why you need the runtime in order to have the actionability and like, not have the frustration of these security teams of like, where do I start? Where do I focus? So that was like a big thing on like the product piece. Your platform vision really spoke to us about like, hey, bring in all these various components and like, you want to work with, one platform that has a universal layer that has all the context. So that was really about the product. Talked a bit about the market opportunity as well, right? We've been excited about for a long time. And then the last thing to me, and this is also related to the point you make about, kind of eating glass, right? What I noticed in all of our conversations is you have a relentless drive. Even when things are bad, and you say they're bad 80% of the time, like you are like optimistic and you look ahead. So like no obstacle is a real obstacle. It's like, I don't care about the obstacle. I care about the solution. And one comment you made on like in one conversation is like if I as a CEO and co-founder get frustrated or give up, the company will tumble over. So that simply cannot happen. And that's what we look for in founders of like relentless drive, optimism, and ambition to really, create sort of like non-obvious outcomes, right? And that was really like for us, like all the various components that like made us super excited to partner, and can't wait to be on that journey.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to get this external perspective on, from investors who are really seasoned and really understand the space, and you get, a view and patterns of a lot of companies and a lot of different founders. So it's really fun hearing it. And I can tell you, we just like wrapped up our sales kickoff event of the year, and we brought some of the early investors to like have a panel in front of all the sales people. Everyone like from the sales team, and we've hired like very experienced people from different companies, told us this was their best SKO ever. And one of the reasons was like how investors talked about the company, and sometimes we underestimate like the external perspective on what we're doing. So it's great to hear, and thank you about that. And we're super pumped to work with you, and there is a long way ahead. We're just beginning, like, we're like coming to 3 years, but I feel like the company's been for like 3 months. So there is a lot of work ahead.
Thanks for being here, and look forward to creating magic with you.
Absolutely, and we say up and up.
Up and up, there you go.